Hey guys, welcome to another tea time show, or coffee time today actually. Today we're talking about Google AdWords Ad Scheduling. It's a topic that comes up a lot, so watch on for another 5-10 minutes and I'll give you a background about what it is and the mistakes people make with it, and you should be really careful with this piece of functionality. It can be very powerful, but very dangerous too if you're not careful. So as usual, if this is confusing, if you're stuck with something, if you've got a specific question, ask away in the comments and I'll try and reply to those and give you an answer if I can. If you've other questions around Google AdWords, ask away in the comments too, or catch me on Twitter at Tillison or Google Plus or any of those places, and I'll try and help as best I can. If you get really stuck, remember we do Google AdWords training too, and we do this online in sessions just like this, and you can work one-on-one with a specialist who will help you get your ads working effectively and make you a lot more money. So contact us about that if you like, and as usual, subscribe for more of these. We do them weekly, sometimes more frequently, but subscribe and get all the good stuff as we produce it. Right, so today's question comes from Ashley, and he says, should I use AdWords scheduling? I have an e-commerce store, and I found that between 5 and 7 p.m, people just don't buy on the website. So should I schedule my ads to pause during that period because I've got quite a high cost per conversion compared with other times of the day? So let's just have a look. How do we look at that data? So first and foremost, this is where we look at this data. So we go to the Dimensions tab, and then we click on the View, and we pick Time, and then we can pick Hour of the Day. Now the first thing I would say is you need lots of data. There's no point in looking at a week or 2 weeks of data here. You need to look over a much longer period of time to give you a lot more consistent data to avoid making the wrong decisions. So this particular example, this is an e-commerce store. We can look at how much we've spent, total conversion value, all of these things. The column we're actually interested in is conversion value divided by cost. So this is essentially your return on investment figure. So effectively, one over the other gives you what the return is. This one isn't actually doing particularly well. The profit margins aren't great on this product, so this campaign is kind of breaking even probably at the moment. So we can see this is from the 1st of September to the end of December. So there's a good 4 months worth of data in here. For every hour between midnight and 1am, 1am and 2am, 2am, 3am, and so on and so forth. So that's all of those hours for every day throughout that whole period. So we can see collectively, during the wee hours of the day, actually, it doesn't convert very well. And I wouldn't expect it to anyway. So you might think, well, man, we should just turn it off. Okay. Now, the point is, if you look at how much the budget is actually the spend and the cost, actually, there's very small amounts of budget in the context of overall over 4 months worth of spend. Very little is spent actually during this period. So, yes, we could turn it off, but the other thing to bear in mind is that some of those clicks could be assist clicks. So a user would click once and then twice and then maybe buy. They might click once, then twice, then 3 times and then buy. And if we remove those clicks in the early morning or in the middle of the day or at any time, we could break that funnel. We could break that sequence. And if we miss the first click that would have produced the second and the third before they bought, we don't get the second and the third and then they buy. So we need to be careful about breaking the funnel. And for me personally, in the grand scheme of things, you might look at that and say, wow, that's a lot of money. In the grand scheme of things, of how much is spent on this particular campaign, it isn't that much. So I would say typically just leave that alone. It's not really doing any harm in the grand scheme of things. However, the issue with this was actually between 5 and 7 p.m, particularly on weekdays. People are travelling, they're just leaving work, they're not ready to buy, they're not in a buying mood. Should I just turn these ads off? So we look at this data here and say, okay, look, your e-commerce data in the back end of your website says we get very few sales between 5 and 7 p.m. Okay, so we want to consider turning that off. Now, the first thing you could consider doing is, rather than turning it off, is you can make a bid adjustment with the scheduling tool. So you go into the campaign settings and you put the scheduling in for hours of the day, days of the week, or what have you. And instead of saying, I don't want my ads running, you could perhaps lower the bids by 15% or 20% or 30% or 50% if you wanted to. So you still have a presence. So that's your first option. Again, I would exercise caution with that. Now, the other thing that's really important is that in the back-end data in your e-commerce store or on your website, and also in Google Analytics, the conversion data is more real-time. So if if most people actually buy between 7 and 9 p.m. in the evening or at lunchtime, then you're going to get data about when the conversions happened. Okay, when they happened almost in real time. Now, the thing you have to understand with Google Ads is that the conversion gets attributed to the time and the day of the click, not when the conversion happened. And this creates a bit of an anomaly. So on the one hand, we've got the data on the website and analytics saying between 5 and 7 p.m. is rubbish. We don't get any conversions then, we don't get any sales. Let's just turn it off. But when you look at the clicks in AdWords, as you can see here, there's 5 till 6 p.m, 6 till 7 p.m, 7 till 8 p.m. And actually, if we look at that, we can look and say, well, okay, look, if we even that out, actually, look, between sort of 8 and 10, 11, really good, all the way through the morning up until lunchtime. In the afternoon, it's a bit lower. Between 6 and 7, actually, it's a little bit lower, but not much. So the data doesn't quite match up. So if you only looked at your e-commerce data and said, it's rubbish, let's just turn it off or let's lower the bids, you'd actually be making, in my opinion, in this particular case, quite a big mistake. Actually, this isn't really doing any harm. It's not wasting budget. It is creating conversions that happen later in the evening. And if you turn it off between 5 and 7 p.m, you're going to lose those sales, pretty much. And actually, you're going to make the performance worse, not better. So I just put a quick slide together just to show you this. So let's look at conversion journey A. So this is just the first example. Now, the AdWords click happens at 5 p.m. Let's say this is a Thursday evening. So the AdWords, there's a search, there's an AdWords click that happens at 5 p.m. That user then comes back, searches for a brand term, they know where they want to buy this product, and they search again at 6 p.m. and they click on the organic link rather than an AdWords click. And then they browse around on the site, they're looking around, they get interrupted by a TV program or kids wanting to do homework, whatever it is, and they're still on the website, and eventually they convert at 7 p.m, they buy something, they put it in the shopping cart, they give over their credit card details, and then we have our conversion. So analytics, in this case, would attribute the conversion that happened at 7 p.m. Your website would say you got a conversion at 7 p.m. AdWords will say that the click happened at 5 p.m, and that's where it is going to claim the conversion. Okay, so it gets attributed to the time of the click. The other thing to bear in mind is when you're looking at this in analytics, the last click attribution will say that the organic click on the brand term created the sale. It did, but it started with AdWords, then came to a brand term, and then converted. So the AdWords in analytics data, AdWords was an assist click, and then the organic click actually was the last click, which would get attributed to the sale. AdWords only looks really at AdWords data. So when you look in your AdWords account and go, I got the sale, it was me, it was my click, you paid 50 pence for this click, and I produced that conversion. Because it doesn't look at the analytics data. So that's where you're going to get some kind of misattribution between those different steps. So you need to be very careful about measuring that data. So let's just look at a slightly more complicated one. So Monday at 5 p.m. we get that AdWords click. Tuesday at lunchtime at 12 p.m. we get another search, maybe on the same term, maybe a different term, and they click again. And then on Tuesday at 5 p.m. we're ready to go home. Maybe we've got a remarketing campaign running, and we get an ad click from Facebook, or maybe we followed on Facebook and this is an organic click. But that click then comes through from Facebook, and then a couple of hours later we then get the conversion through the website. Now, AdWords will now claim it as, oh, I generated this because there's an AdWords cookie and you're going to get that conversion, and that's going to say that it came through an AdWords click. Facebook, if you're running a Facebook ads campaign and you've got a Facebook pixel with a conversion tracking, Facebook is also going to claim, hey, we reached the goal, we got the conversion. So Facebook is reporting a conversion, a sale, and also AdWords is reporting a sale. So you're going to get that duplicated. They're both going to claim that because they're both in your funnel, the steps that led to that particular sale. So you need to be really careful about how you measure this data and how you analyse it. But as you can see here, actually the thought that between 5 and 7 p.m. that this just wasn't working actually is incorrect. The sales weren't happening between 5 and 7, but the clicks that led to sales were. So just be really careful with that before you go kind of pausing ads every day between 5 and 7 p.m. There are some occasions when that is correct. If you'd like to ask questions in the comments, if you've got particular anomalies with your own data, maybe you'd like us to have a look at it for you, ask away in the comments. We'll help as best we can. This particular subject is very tricky. And remember, we do have a Google AdWords guide. You can register for that for free, get that in your inbox, and there's 50 or more tips and strategies and videos and all sorts of stuff to help you get the most sales out of that. And if you want to do some training with us one-to-one and get your account shipshape, then register for that too. Until next time, make sure you subscribe for more videos and enjoy your cup of tea and get rocking on AdWords.